Greetings, everyone. I am Sajdah Wendy Muhammad, and we are talking today live in about 10 minutes to Sister Portia Bellamy with GrowFlo. And I'm so excited to talk to her because she's going to talk to us about how to grow anything. And I see she's already here. Sister Portia, we're going to wait until people start to come into the room, and then I'll send you over an invitation to join. That way we can make sure you got a nice little crowd. But she's going to talk to us about how to grow anything, no matter what space you have and no matter what you're working with. These are the things that we need to know. Listen, we have to start being a little bit more mindful about what we put in our body. Just like we are starting to study our money psychology, we have to study our food psychology. And some of that is easy to identify, right? Because we know that maybe growing up, we were reared on McDonald's, or maybe our parents never thought about where the food came from. Maybe we never actually sat down and had a good dinner, a family dinner. Or maybe we come from the tradition where we always have family dinners. Who knows? But these are the things that we have to now begin to start thinking about. What is our food psychology? What is our go-to stress food, for example? What do we do, when we realize, okay, we're hungry? What do we reach for? Do we reach for fruits and vegetables? Or do we reach for, I was making Brother Abner, he said too much dinner. Well, yeah, okay. You're taking out of this equation, because I know that y'all dinners was on a whole nother level. So we talking about us common folk over here. What's your go-to food, right? Is it fruits and vegetables? Is it potato chips? Is it popcorn? Is it Cheetos? Is it Flaming Hot Cheetos? I don't know. But now with this rampant spread of all these infectious diseases that are also vasculotropic, we have to start thinking about what we're putting in our body. Brother Lamont said he goes for wraps and burritos. Okay. Yeah. So what do you go to? And then the question becomes, why? And how can we improve our diet by starting with where the food comes from? Because I think what's interesting, somebody was pointing out to me the other day as I started to really dig into this topic that, you can have things that are grown organic, but they may not be shipped organic. Because, obviously organic foods without the chemicals are going to be more perishable. And so oftentimes in transport, they spray them. They hit them with a quick coat of chemicals. So even though that food is grown organic, it may not be shipped organic, which is another very, very interesting thing to think about. And I know when I started to travel internationally, I started to get really addicted to how things really taste. Like when I had just the difference in tomatoes that we get over here in the Midwest versus tomatoes in California. But when I had tomatoes in Italy, I was like, why does this taste different? When I had pineapples in Jamaica and all the different types of pineapples, when I had lemons in Italy, when I had just certain vegetables in Africa, and the food and the produce in Africa is absolutely amazing. It started me to thinking about, okay, so if they taste different and they look different, then that means that the nutrients are different. And so even though a lot of us walk around, we say, oh yeah, I'm vegetarian or I'm vegan. I know vegetarians that really should just call themselves carbitarians. Because all they eat is carbs. And we're not having a nutrition class here, but we're talking about the origin of things and controlling what we put into our body. So I'm going to send my sister GrowFlo an invitation to join us so that we can begin to have this conversation. We're going to talk about her business. Oh, there she is.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, beautiful.
How are you, sis?
I'm wonderful. See, that's what happened when you're eating all them beautiful vegetables. You come on here all radiant and
Praise be to Allah. A reflection of you, sis. You're
praise
beautiful as
be to
well.
Allah. Thank you. I was going to be outside because I was thinking I can't talk to you. I can't talk to Sister Portia inside, but it's sprinkling. So I got in
Right.
front of the window so you can see some greenery
Beautiful.
behind me, right? I was talking, before we joined on, you probably heard me, and I was talking about how when I started to travel internationally, I started looking at how food tasted differently depending
Right.
upon where it was grown, but it could be the same food. So a tomato in Africa tastes different from a tomato in Jamaica or California or Chicago or even in Italy.
Right.
And just
Right.
the pungent and richness of the different flavors, just really tuning our palate to that. And so I'm just grateful to talk to you today because, again, a lot of us are going. I was driving yesterday and I started noticing the number of urban gardens that I'm starting to see, like urban
Right.
greenhouses and spaces. And a lot of people say, but I don't trust that either. How do I grow my own food? What do I do?
Right.
So, talk to me about your business. Tell me what it is, but I really want to know how you got started and your background in that business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. First of all, I want to thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on the show.
I'm honored to
And
have you, sis.
thank you. So, GrowFlo came about in 2020, January 2020, right before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I had an innate desire and passion to start educating and teaching people to grow food.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, I was thinking, I was speaking with my husband. I was saying I wanted to do like community centers and, the people around me in my neighborhood to just kind of get people, seeing where their head is at to see
Mm-hmm.
if they either are interested in growing food or are they growing food already. So that's where it started. And then the pandemic hit. So I'm like, okay, let me revamp and see how I can still fulfill my purpose and
Mm-hmm.
be effective in it, but safe as well. So I started doing virtual classes, gardening basics classes, basically introducing the same concept of learning how to grow your own food on a basic level because a lot of us don't even know where to start, right?
Right.
So that's where it started. And literally, our mission at GrowFlo is to educate, expose, and empower people to grow their own food, no matter what space they have.
Mm.
That's where I truly, truly, my heart is. Because so many of us, especially in our community, may
Yes.
not have the space or feel like they don't have the space to grow food. And I'm like, you can grow food in a trash bag, sis, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have been growing food for I would say at least 10 years. Um
Really?
yes, I've been growing food for about 10 years, and it initially started just because like you said, once you taste real food and what it really really tastes like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like never going back, right? It's like you stepped
Mm-hmm.
into the matrix of what you've been missing. And so once you compare it to what you get from the grocery store, you're like, that's plastic, that's junk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's not even real food.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my desire came in, wanting to learn how to grow my own food. My grandmother had a beautiful garden in Georgia for years, and so I just was like, I need to grow my own food. Um, I
So you
also was
grew
an
up seeing
educator.
your grandmother grow food. That's an important thing for us to remember, especially those of us who are examples for other people, other children, for our own
Right.
children, nieces and nephews. She grew up seeing her grandmother with a garden.
Absolutely, absolutely. Picking figs from a fig tree, picking plums from the tree. Like I grew up like experiencing all of that. And so as I had that exposure, it just kind of, it was just something that was already in my blood.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started. I just
Mm-hmm.
started, and it was small. Like I started in pots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then as time went on, I wanted to start doing bigger areas. So I tried to do a raised bed, but I was waiting on my raised bed to be built. And as I was waiting, my passion and purpose was so like on fire. I was
Mm-hmm.
so determined to grow my own food that one of my mentors, who's a farmer, he said, you can grow food. You can start like in a trash bag. And I'm like, huh? And
In
so
a
he
trash
literally,
or a trash
yes,
can?
a trash bag.
What?
a makeshift, it's almost like a makeshift raised bed. And literally, he walked me step by step on how to do it. And while I was waiting on my raised bed to be built because it was taking forever, and I'm like, time waits for no one. I need to grow this food.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did exactly what he said. And literally, I had food growing out of a trash bag.
What did you grow out the trash bag, sis?
Green beans, broccoli, herbs, anything. You can grow anything. That's what I'm trying to like portray to the people, that
Yes.
it does not have to be so complicated. It's very simple. It's very simple and basic. As long as you have the basic necessities, then you have everything that you need in order to grow food. And in the time that we're living in, we really don't have time to play around with trying to depend on an outside source to feed us and our family.
Mm-mm-mm.
And so that's where my passion comes from.
Now let's go back to this trash bag, because that is amazing to me.
Yes.
Walk me through how you did the tray. You went and got some dirt. You put some seeds down in there. Was it outside, in the house?
Yes, it was outside. And what he said was get an industrial size trash bag, one that you get from like Home Depot or Lowe's.
Right.
You lay it on the side. You fill it up like a few feet high of dirt. So it has to be pretty thick, right?
Yeah.
Because you need the roots to be able to spread and grow. And then once you get it full, because it's on its side, just like a little raised bed, you're going to close the other end up. And then you're going to take like a little pocket knife and make holes. And maybe 6 to 9 holes.
Uh-huh.
And then you literally have just a tiny little space to grow some food. And that's how I started, literally, other than the pots.
I see. That is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. What are some of the other ways? Let's say I'm living in an efficiency apartment. I don't
Right.
have a yard. I'm in the city, and I'm worried about my food choices. What can I grow?
Oh, you can grow anything. There's so many options. You don't have to necessarily have to have even a balcony, right? You can do tower gardens, which is literally something that you do set up in your home. It is basically everything is grown from like a water medium,
Mm-hmm.
and it is vertical. So if
Mm-hmm.
you just have literally a closet, you could grow food from your tower garden. Also, you can get grow lights, which I also set up an indoor garden station 2 years ago to start my seedlings in, and it was growing food indoors where you use grow lights. So there is artificial lighting and it's mimicking the sun, but you get a certain type of lighting so that it will facilitate and promote the growth of those seeds. So there's so many options, and there's not that expensive, but is out there, and that's the point. Like, our people, we are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. So I pray that I can be a vessel to help provide that knowledge to the people.
Well, you are already being that vessel, so you can start with a trash bag if needed. You can
Yes.
start with pots, so it's no
Yes.
different than having plants in your home, correct?
Exactly.
You
Yes,
can
ma'am.
get hydroponic systems. I know they have the small ones.
Yes.
I have one of those, and then you have the big ones. You
Exactly.
can, of course, then plant outside in your raised bed or pots on your deck. So you have options there. Pots in
Yes,
your
ma'am.
windowsill. Now, this is what happened to me. So when I first started with my hydroponic garden, I couldn't keep up with the growth.
Right. Right.
So then,
Yes, ma'am.
so I was giving away like lettuce, and and lettuce is something you got to really consume. And I said, well, this is forcing me to have a salad every day. That's for sure.
Right.
But what are some of the things that you do when you can't keep up with the growth and you have to harvest?
Exactly. So there are several different options that you can utilize for that as well. You can can it by preserving it through canning. You can dehydrate it, right? So that it's dehydrated, or you can freeze it. Now, you probably can't do that with lettuce. So I would, suggest
Right.
either try to consume it as much as possible or share it with the people in your community or neighborhood or family. But for the most part, dehydration, freezing, and canning are the 3 main ways that you can preserve your food if you have an overabundance.
I know people like, look, now that's a whole thing. And for those of us who are fortunate enough to have MGT training, we
Right.
know how to do that kind of stuff. And we've had, introduction to that kind of thing. But where do people go, or do you offer classes if there's people who are listening or who will listen to this who say, yeah, I I gotta harvest everything. I don't know how to dry foods. I don't know how to
Right.
can, I don't know how to make soups and freeze them and all the things
Right.
that we're taught, as MGT, you come to my house, I got some good old frozen bean soup in there. I can pop out for you,
Right.
something that's canned, but everybody doesn't know how to do that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So there are several sisters or even information from like YouTube where you can tap in several different classes that don't cost anything where they'll teach you how to preserve. And like I said, it doesn't have to be expensive. So like canning, you may need a few pieces of equipment to do that, which may cost a little dollar, a little piece of a coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
But freezing doesn't
Mm-hmm.
cost anything as
Right.
long as you understand the concept of what to do, the steps to really make sure that it's preserved and frozen correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Freezing does not cost, as long as you have a freezer, then you're good. So I
Mm-hmm.
would suggest that freezing would be the first step if you
Mm-hmm.
have an overabundance of food to go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and do that. And tap into YouTube University. You can learn anything that you're looking for, YouTube.
She said YouTube University. You are so right. So let's
Yes.
talk about seeds and soil because a lot of people think, well, okay, I'll just order some seeds offline or I'll go run down to the dollar store and get me some seeds. What are the
Right.
differences between those kind of seeds and say melanated seeds?
So it's just this world and this system is crazy. But you have the basic category is your GMO versus your non-GMO.
Okay.
That's what you really want to know the difference between. And GMO just stands for genetically modified organism. So
And
just like
say it one more time.
genetically modified organism.
Y'all
So
heard that?
literally, that organism has the genes modified, meaning that it's no longer functioning in its natural space or natural self anymore. So if you're consuming something that is genetically modified, what do you think that's doing to you, right? So we have to tap into non-GMO seeds,
Mm-hmm.
organic seeds. Organic just means that it has not been sprayed with pesticide, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure that you stay away from the chemicals. There are natural ways to treat your plants to keep the pests and the insects away that can destroy them, and you don't have to go to those chemicals that you see in those commercial stores.
Mm.
So as long as you have your genetic, non-GMO, organic seeds, then that's a great start. Now, if you get heirloom, that's cherry on the pie right there. That's extra. But as long as you stay with the organic, non-GMO seeds, then that's a great foundation. And the
Okay.
same thing with your soil. You want your foundation, which is your soil and your seeds, to be in its purest form possible with no chemicals so that it can function and provide you with the natural nutrients and vitamins that it was intended to provide your body with.
So is it okay to go to just get soil from anywhere or plant in soil in the ground, or do you have to test the soil, especially if you're like in an urban area or something like that?
So it depends on how you're going to grow it, right? So if you're going
Mm-hmm.
to grow it in the ground, I would suggest that you get your soil tested. And you can, your county actually provides soil test kits for free. All you got to do is tap into your local county and
Mm.
get that kit. And then you'll take a few samples from your yard, and then you will
Mm-hmm.
send the soil to your county to get tested. And then they will be able to tell you what nutrients is lacking and whatever is lacking, so that you can have that those nutrients and your crops will flourish. So I would suggest if you have to go to the stores like your Home
Mm-hmm.
Depots or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, you do make sure you get your organic soil. Also, another option is if you know any local farmers, we have to get tapped into our Black farmers again in our space, in our areas. If you know of any local farmers, they usually are always producing some type of soil or compost that will be a
Mm-hmm.
great amendment for you and your soil. If you're growing in a raised bed, again, wherever your source of soil is coming from, you have to make sure that it's the best. So make sure it's organic. If it's
Mm-hmm.
from a farmer, ask him questions to make sure that he is growing and producing in the most organic form, in the most organic way.
Now I saw you chasing animals away from plants and stuff, and I'm the kind of person I attract wildlife.
Right.
I'm just the wildlife magnet. I could be living somewhere and they never seen a coyote before, but it'll end up in my yard, or a bobcat, or something.
I'm the same way.
I,
I'm the exact
I
same way.
mean, it's like, what? I don't even think twice about it. You know,
Right.
if it's, somebody say, I've never seen that kind of deer before. Leave it to me. They're gonna come wherever I am.
Right.
So that's why I have a hydroponic garden, because I don't want to be fighting against the animals that I know for certain are going to come. But
Right.
I mean, what do you do about that? Because they get real disrespectful. They will eat up all your stuff.
I mean, you know what? It's a war out here. We're not talking about World War II. We're talking about the war outside in your backyard, right? So yeah,
Survival of the fittest, right?
okay. But see, the thing that I respect about animals is they understand the assignment. They understand that do for self and suffer the consequences. I'm gonna get this food no
Mm-hmm.
matter where it's coming from, because I know me and
Mm-hmm.
my family need to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we have to first of all pay attention to nature and learn from nature, but also there are so many different things that you can utilize to deter pests and animals away.
Okay.
You can protect your plants. You can actually
Mm-hmm.
get some like a covering. It's actual gardening covering that you
Like a
can use.
netting or something. Okay.
Netting, or even like it's almost almost like an interface. It is like the feel of an interface, very
Mm-hmm.
very thin, and I would suggest getting white. But yeah, something like an interface, but it's for gardening purposes that you can cover over your crops to help prevent, whatever insects or anything that's eating up your stuff. But also there's sprays that deter them. There are different plants that they don't like, right? For instance, I know for one reason, I was planting my lavender and my rosemary is because I know we have a like festival of mosquitoes in my backyard. They cannot stand rosemary or lavender. So there's certain plants that you can plant that will deter these pests away. And also even getting some type of like the chicken wires. The
Mm-hmm.
chicken wires can help protect your plants as well. But there's so many options. You just kind of got to do your own research, but definitely different oils that you can spray and utilize
What
that
kind
can
of
deter
oils
them
can
away.
you spray? Like a hemp oil?
Not necessarily a hemp oil. So I would suggest things that are a little more to the earthy side of things, like your eucalyptus.
Mm-hmm.
You can spray and you can mix up different things with like vinegar, cayenne pepper, right? Yeah, cinnamons, a lot of things that can it kind of like disturbs and it irritates their nose. So when they're sniffing it, it can
Mm-hmm.
irritate it, but it doesn't like kill them or anything. So
Mm-hmm.
there's certain things that you can use, spices and oils that you can utilize. Like I said, rosemary, your lavender oils, things like that we may enjoy and love the smell of. The animals don't like.
Well, these old urban animals, they will eat up your. They don't care, you
You're
know.
right. You're
The
right. They
white get down
disrespectful.
on them peppers. They don't. They are so disrespectful.
They
Although
are.
I'm
They
over here
are.
growing this and I'm new at this, and you gonna eat up all my stuff,
All of it. They
like
don't care.
lettuce and cabbage. Oh, they don't.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you saw my live. Anybody who's tapped into my Instagram live, our Instagram page, literally that gopher was coming in and just, he was having a whole Thanksgiving feast. So yeah, you got to outsmart them. It's definitely a war, but you have to outsmart them. And there are so many resources that you can utilize to keep them away from your garden.
You mentioned that the covering that you should get should be white. Why should it be white? Because they offer green ones, right? And I think there may be like a blue
Right.
one or something.
Well, green is okay as well, but you want to make sure that the sunlight is able to still seep through
Okay.
properly so that it can get
Mm-hmm.
the vitamins and whatever it needs in order to grow properly. So white is best. I would not suggest like a black covering or anything like that. White is
Yeah.
the best, but if you have to kind of trickle down to like maybe a green, that's fine as well because you have like your greenhouses as well, things like that. But white is definitely best.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about the meals that you prepare from your garden.
Ooh, well, let me just say one thing. I am a foodie. That's another reason why I started growing
Okay.
food because I
I
love good
figured
food,
that.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I am a foodie. So, and I also love like researching and finding new recipes and just
Mm-hmm.
venturing out and figuring out how to do different things with different foods. So
Mm-hmm.
I've done so many things. I've done stuffed eggplant, stuffed squash. I do veggie stir fry, mixed
Mm-hmm.
vegetable dishes, roasted vegetables with it. So very easy to do. I put it in my bean soup. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I just use it for everything, right? Eggplant
Mm-hmm.
parmesan, anything that I can figure out how to use it, then that's how I use it. But I also try to find ways to get the most concentrated flavor. So like roasting your vegetables is really a good way
That's
to
my
get
favorite.
the sweetness, right,
That's
out
my
of the
favorite. Like
vegetables.
roasted Brussels sprouts and stuff.
Yes,
My
yes.
favorite.
I love Brussels sprouts. I'm actually growing
Mm-hmm.
Brussels sprouts this year. Um, so yeah, roasting and then of course your stir fries where you don't have to cook them down so much and you still get that freshness from
Mm-hmm.
the taste. And you don't
Mm-hmm.
and the thing that I love about fresh food that you grow is that literally the flavor of the food already tastes like the garlic powder, onion powder, and all the other things that you usually add is seasoning. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
add that much seasoning when you're growing your own food because
Mm-hmm.
the flavor is already there.
How have you noticed that growing your own food has impacted your health?
Oh, the energy level. The energy level is an all-time high. Um, Times where I usually would be, have low energy and not feeling like I want to do
Mm-hmm.
something. And I have this a side note, I have twins, toddler
Okay.
twins. So my energy level is
You
like,
got to
okay,
keep up.
yeah, I got to keep up. So I got to have that energy on 10. But my energy level, of course, me being able to sleep properly, right? Having a clarity of mind so that I can focus. It
Mm-hmm.
just improves your overall sense of being. And that's what I love about it because you're getting all the vitamins and nutrients that you don't naturally get from foods that you get from the store. And so now your body is able to consume and utilize those nutrients so that it can work at its optimum level. So I'm feeling so much energy. I'm getting so much clarity. I'm getting so many like I feel like I can focus so much better.
The
It makes
flow.
me more productive. Yeah, I'm able to be more productive and just flow in my natural self. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes me feel so good.
Sis, I'm looking at you, and what I see, I saw a little bit on your IG, but what I see is that you're in flow,
Yes, ma'am.
and
Yes,
I
ma'am.
see that. I see the
Thank
flow
you.
through you. I see it in your face. I see it in your energy, and I even thought, I know this is gonna sound corny, but I thought about the name of your business, Grow Flow. I said she's so in flow. And
Mm,
when you're eating what is vibrating with the sun and with the earth, then that recalibrates your internal system and your internal vibrations so that it matches. And then I'm not surprised if you receive lots of divine revelation and lots of good and great energy. And those twins are probably brilliant, out of this world, because you're just lined up. You just
praise
look
be
to
to
be
Allah.
lined up and aligned. Um, it just it's obvious to me, and
Praise be
so
to Allah.
I'm just I'm honored and I'm excited for you,
Thank you
because
so much, sis.
you see, sis, the thing is that this is the thing we don't realize. We think that Allah is picky and choosy and absent. He blesses whom he pleases, absolutely,
That's
but
right.
he's always there. So
Mm,
when you can find a way to line up like what you're doing, then you're consistent. You're a
right.
consistent conduit. So now, I mean, if he's searching around and saying, who can I use? Ah, there's Sister Portia over there, because she's consistent.
Mm,
She's
thank you for that.
consistent in what she is. She's a consistent conduit. She's open. She's flowing. And so I just want to encourage you to just please just keep going. And
Yes,
my next
ma'am.
question for you was going to be, what is next for you? What are you doing with, because when Allah blesses us with beauty, we're not trophies, right? We don't
Right,
just sit on
right.
the shelf. We go out and we share the
Yes,
reward
ma'am.
of our consistency with our family, with our friends, just like you're doing. So
Right.
my question is, what is next for you, and how can I help you?
Wow. Ooh, I'm receiving everything that you just said. Praise be to
Hmm.
Allah for that. Um, it's ironic that you said that because literally when Allah gave me the name for GrowFlo and 19 behind it, um, it was because I had a passion for helping us as well as myself because we're in this journey together to go
Hmm.
grow back into our natural flow of our natural selves, right? Growing
Grow
mental, not just
back.
with,
No, I like that. Let's slow down on that. Grow back into our natural selves.
right, to flow
I
so that
remember
we
the
can flow in
minister
our
saying,
natural selves.
I remember the minister saying at the criterion that we have to go to nature.
Right,
That's what
right.
popped up for me when you said grow back into our natural self. What a wonderful place for an MGT to be in.
Praise be
Just
to
just
Allah.
you bring tears to my eyes because I see it. I see what you're doing, how you're lined up. But back to my question. What's next and how can I be of assistance so that you can expand and grow, teach classes, bring more abundance to your family?
Right. Yes, ma'am. So we already started 2 years ago doing our virtual gardening basics classes, which I offered in the summer, and I also did it this year as well, which was very successful. Praise be to Allah. So what
Yes.
we're trying to do now is kind of scale our business, get it to the point where I can offer classes year round, because growing food is not just for the summertime. It's you have to
Right.
eat every day of your life, right? So getting courses that are available year round for everyone. I'm also collaborating and doing some big projects. I can't say yet, but it's going to manifest, inshallah,
Yes.
very soon. But
Yes.
how you can help, sis, is just what you're doing. Like, just sharing the word, sharing our business and our mission to others so that they can
Okay.
be exposed to, they can be a part of the virtual gardening classes. And we're not just going to be doing gardening classes. Like I said, GrowFlo came the idea and the vision of not just growing physical food, but also growing you spiritually, mentally, and emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to share that knowledge and have that dialogue with my GrowFlo family, so that we all can continue to grow, right, and thrive. So anything that you have in networking or other people that I can collaborate with, I would
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
yes, ma'am, any way that you see fit, I will be gracious and honored.
Yes, ma'am. I was also thinking of, when you start to make certain choices to grow back into yourself, really
Right,
accept your own and be yourself.
right,
When you make a choice to move back into that, there's a certain freedom that comes with that.
absolutely.
Because you will hear messages in the media, on television, but you don't really care because you're in a certain free space to be able to think and do what it is that you want. And so, my prayer for you would be that you grow deeper into that, but that also you can share that with other sisters who can say, you know what, this choice where, if you decide you want to pick up, something that's bad for you, just, that it's bad, but don't think that it's good for you. I was
Right,
I was watching
right.
a sister one day who used to work for me, and she was expecting, and she was eating Doritos and yogurt for lunch.
Wow.
And sometimes you have to be careful about getting in people's business. Some people have an issue, but I just had to pull her over to the side and
Right,
bring her in my office and sit down because I said I can't walk past this. And when we started to talk about food and food choices and gave her a How to Eat to Live, book 1 and 2, and just
right.
start teaching her about who she is, because that's all part of the story, right?
Yes, ma'am.
See, because the queen knows how to manage her environment. You are such a queen because you managing the earth, the plants, you growing.
Praise be to Allah.
You're that doctor for those babies,
Yes, ma'am.
so that when they need healing, mama can really get them some real healing. And I heard you when you were talking about, I was watching you when you were talking about, I think it was the gopher. And you said, you were like caught red-handed and da 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 da. And I'm looking like, that's so disrespectful. They're eating up her food. But I was watching how you handled it. You weren't
Right,
afraid. You didn't go off. You wasn't cussing. You wasn't like, let me go build a scarecrow. That don't work, do
right.
it? Scarecrow.
It does with some animals, but like you said, the urban ones, they don't care.
So I was watching you and I said, she's so in command of her space
Mm,
that I could see you through your talking kind of willing these animals away from your food stuff.
mm,
But you just came off very in command. You didn't pick up a rock and hit the gopher in the head. You didn't go
right,
out there with a stick, chasing it. You didn't go out there with a BB gun. You
right.
went out there with your true and natural, beautiful self. It wasn't
Praise
harsh.
be to Allah.
It was very sweet and very heavenly. And I said, look at my sister. I said, she's so respectful of the earth, the animals, the plants. I mean, I know she probably want to knock this thing in his head for, eating some holes in her cabbage and stuff. But
Right.
you weren't like that. And I think that that's a testament to your spirit that I bet comes across in your plants and in your food and in the way you're recalibrating your central nervous system and your organs, back to the sun. So all praise is due to Allah for you.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, sis. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yes.
It's a journey, and it is
Mm-hmm.
it's science, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
going back to our natural selves of science, like getting
Mm-hmm.
back to nature with science and trial and error. So,
Mm-hmm.
everything doesn't always grow like I intended to. You got to go back and start doing some experiments and figuring out, okay, what did I do wrong? You got to start
Uh-huh.
reflection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reflection, self-analysis, and
Mm-hmm.
figuring out, okay, how can I do it better next time? So I said in one of my videos of taking your emotions out of it. We don't have time to be
Ooh.
emotional. We have to look at the product. We have to do what we're asked to do, follow the instructions, ask Allah to help us to be successful. But in the case that it does not come out the way we want it to, or it gets intruded by an animal, we have to take the emotions out of it and come back to the drawing board and say, okay, what can I do different so this doesn't happen again? So that's what
Because
I'm
the
learning.
emotions change the vibration, right? Your
Yes,
emotion,
ma'am.
and I teach emotional intelligence, and I always teach that emotions are like your compass. It tells you where you are and what direction you're pointed in. So it may
Right,
mean go back that direction. It may mean that you're on the right path. It may mean
right.
that you need to change who you are. But I love the way you put that because the emotions can change the vibration of what is growing. It's like having a child. If you're upset, you'll notice that they'll be a little agitated or a little bothered.
Right.
And as queens, we have to manage our emotions because our entire environment gets impacted
Yes,
by how
ma'am.
we're feeling and what we're saying, whether it's our husbands, our children, our parents, our friends, our family, just even the vibration in our home. So
Yes.
I can only imagine how that reverberates out to your garden. And I think, and I love to see how things grow, based on how I'm feeling. I can sometimes look at my plants and see them reflecting me.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And plants will communicate with you, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to be still and in a space of receiving so that you can understand what they're trying to say, so that you can now see what they need, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I even go as far as, and don't get me wrong now, my feelings do get hurt when I'm
I
like, I
understand.
did all of this
I
and
understand.
I did all this planning, but what I'm learning, because like I said, it's a journey. So
Mm-hmm.
every year I'm learning something new about myself and I'm learning something
Mm-hmm.
new about God's creation. So as we're moving on this journey, you can I go even as far as praying before I plant seeds. I'll say a
Mm-hmm.
prayer
I was going to
because
ask you
there,
that. Do you pray
yes, ma'am.
before you plant, or do you actually pray in your garden?
At both. I
Yes.
pray before I plant, because I want to set the intent of success and abundance and prosperity, and I want God to be in my space. But even
Mm-hmm.
as I go out and I'm touching my leaves and speaking to them, I will say a prayer like Assalamu alaikum. I give them the greetings because they're
Yeah.
living organisms. They feel those
Yeah.
vibrational frequency and energy. And we got to get tapped in back into that. They're living. They're living just like a baby. I tell my students,
Mm-hmm.
treat them like your baby. You kind of get a sense as a mother when your baby is hungry, when it's distressed, when it's not feeling well, when it's sick, when it's diseased. The same thing with your plants. Get tapped into that, and then you can become the doctor for your
Yeah.
garden as well as your
Yes.
house.
Yes. Yeah, sis, this is a whole new way of living and looking at this. We're not just talking about popping some seeds into the ground. We're talking about growing with intention
Yes, ma'am.
and
Yes, ma'am.
connecting vibrationally and knowing how to settle yourself in to align yourself with that vibration and get these things to grow, will these animals away. And so I pray that your efforts attract whatever it is that you need in
Praise be
order
to
to
Allah.
take your business and your family to that next level.
Thank
And
you, sis.
I say that prayer for you, and I'm saying that out loud, but you are really, really a beautiful example. And
Praise be
and
to
and
Allah.
another thing, you're not, part of what is weaponized against us as Black women is our knowledge of self and our modesty.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
our modesty becomes weaponized, right? So
Right.
if you are somebody that's connected to the earth, that's not tied to beauty.
Right. Right.
So people wouldn't think you come on here and be as beautiful as you are and your spirit would be the way it is, because we're just not taught that that works and that
Mm.
makes sense. And so what I'm going to do, I'm starting my seedlings all over on Monday. I give myself a couple days to get myself together. And
Right.
but like I said, mine is inside. I have a hydroponic garden. I'm gonna take some pictures and post them and tag you on them so you can
Please
see
do.
where I'm going and where I gotta get all my seeds out, and
Yes, ma'am.
and I have to pray over them first, and
Yes.
then and then put them down. So sometimes I'll get anxious when I get the seeds and I'm ready to go, but I have to spread them out and, kind of hold them and touch them and let them know, I do that with my plants and stuff, but I,
Right.
yeah. And so I'm just grateful. And so let's tag me on any of your classes
Yes, ma'am. I
so
will.
that I can repost it for you.
Okay.
Anything that you have going on and you say, hey, you just want to run it past somebody from a business standpoint, I'm here for you.
Praise be to Allah.
And once again, I'm going to say this to you again. I pray that you are blessed with whatever it is that you need, that you attract to yourself whatever you need
Thank you,
to
sis.
enhance your family and your business, because what you're doing is so needed. And I'm so grateful for you joining me today.
Allahu Akbar. I'm just like I said, I'm so honored to be on this platform just so to have a dialogue with you. I did want to say one thing if I could, because I'm all about
Absolutely.
supporting my Black businesses, that we
Yeah.
don't have to go to our stores to get those seeds, right? We have Black owned seed companies. So I have a video on this that actually on TikTok that went completely over. I wasn't even expecting it. But Melanated Organic Seeds is a sister in Florida. She is a Black owned seed company. She does organic, non GMO heirloom seeds. And then also the Staple Goods Project with Dr. Ridgely. He also has
Mhm.
his own seeds that he provides. So let's make sure that we are not just tapping into, getting ourselves in order, but make sure that we're supporting others that are also trying to get their businesses and to provide for the people. So there's
Mhm.
several options in that arena of Black owned businesses.
Well, I saw you talking about the melanated seed company, so I just ordered my set of seeds from there.
Yes. Praise be to Allah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am. I wanted to just say
I ordered those
that.
last night, and then
Right.
I didn't hear about the other one, but if you want, tag me on those so we can repost it and post those companies. And do you have any type of like farmers market, like if you harvest something and you know you can't consume it and it might be too much to freeze or can, or
Right.
can people come and purchase from you when you know are ready for things?
And that's ironic as well. We're tapped in on the same energy. That's actually one of my goals, to get to that point where I am providing for my community. Right? We're getting to that point where we have
Mm-hmm.
to start coming back and working with one another. So that's one of my goals and visions with GrowFlo, is to start growing on a larger scale so that I can provide not for just my friends and my family, but also others. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
ma'am.
Okay, yes, please. If you have those farmers markets, or you just say, "Hey, I got, you know, a bunch of cucumbers or a bunch of onions or garlic," like you manifested really good that season, and then you got all this stuff. Then, you know, when you post it, tag me, and I'll
Yes, ma'am.
repost for you. We'll see if we can just drive some traffic your way, drive
Yes,
people
ma'am.
to you, so that you can get that money, good homes, friendships, and all walks of life just for being yourself.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much. I greatly
You're
appreciate this,
welcome.
Sister
You're
Wendy.
welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, sis. Thank you for joining me.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. And again, don't forget to tag me on everything. And you all
I
go and
definitely will.
follow her at GrowFlo19, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
At
ma'am. That's on Instagram. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then what's your Facebook? Give out your information so they know how to reach you.
Yes, ma'am. So on Instagram is at GrowFlo19, and that's GrowFlo with no W on the end, GrowFlo. Then on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is just GrowFlo, and then on
Okay.
TikTok is GrowFlo Queen.
GrowFlo Queen. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, all
Yes,
right. All
ma'am.
praises to Allah, and I'll look for your tags.
Praise be
May
to
Allah
Allah.
bless you. Thank you. Thank you for being you.
May Allah bless you as well, sis. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.